Hello and what is up, YouTube? My name is G3 Iron, or as many of you will know me over the next several weeks and upcoming months in Metamorph League, the Guild Bank Manager. So today we are talking about how we manage our Guild Bank and our Guild Hedge Fund, as it were, here in the G3 Guild. We're going to go over a couple of resources that we can share with you all if you'd like to manage your own guild or small group, hedge fund, or bank. And so all of those resources, of course, will be available down below. As always, if you're new to the channel, you can like, subscribe, and ding the bell for more videos just like this one. And there are some timestamps that are placed above my slightly balding forehead, and those are, of course, hot linked for you down below in the video description. I did want to give a shout out here, since it's the beginning of the month, to a bunch of our Patreon supporters who are supporting us at the moment. I think we're at 12 currently, or it's either 12 or 14. Can't remember which, but we've got a bunch of different Patreon membership levels. Oh, here it is. It says right here, 12 patrons. So we're at 12 patrons right now. So shout out to the 12 of you who are supporting the channel through Patreon. So we've got a bunch of different Patreon options and stuff that you can do there, perks and goodies that you can do there. But all that being said, it is totally free to join the G3 Guild Hedge Fund. We do give preferential treatment to Guild members, and of course we give preferential spots in Guild to Patreon supporters, but we've got like 100 slots in the Guild right now, so plenty of room for past patron supporters or for you to join if you're looking for a guild for Metamorph League. It's a wonderfully active guild, I would say, for the first month of the league. Generally, guild chat is really fired up. I actually signed on to guild chat the other day, and there were a couple of people chatting, and it's, the last week of the league. So quite excited about that. And those were in-league players, not just standard players who were chatting it up. So quite excited about that, just about how active our guild is. Okay, so all of that spammable promotion stuff aside, let's get into the nitty-gritty of how to run your own hedge fund. One of the things that we do is we require people to sign up, and we track everybody's availability. We try to provide as much accountability as possible, so that way, hopefully, if there is a mistake that gets made, or God forbid there's somebody being nefarious, there's at least a way to track that. There's at least a way to go back in and see who's been nefarious with what, and where exactly a mistake got made, if a mistake did get made. And then, of course, that's the negative side of accountability. The positive side of accountability is we get to see how much currency we actually were able to flip and make as traders. So I'm not going to go into all of the nitty-gritty of what we've done in the past. That's actually this tab right here. This video from June 17th of this year. Wow, that's a very different hairstyle for me. But anyway, so this video goes into in-depth for 40 minutes on all of the different trades that we did in Legion and the various ways that we made profit and how we turned that back to everybody. So if you want the details on what a hedge fund looks like looking back at it, that would be this video. And again, this is down below. But for today, if you want to run your own guild bank, there's a couple of things that I would recommend for you to use. And if you're new to the G3 guild bank system, then this will familiarize you with how we do things. So first off, what you want to do is you want to have a guild bank registration page. So a guild bank registration page allows you to keep track of all of your users, so that way you know exactly who is participating, and you can always get a hold of them. So if this is your first time participating in a guild bank, you're going to see this in our Discord channel, and it's going to ask you for your email address, because maybe you're not on Discord or maybe you're not in game. So if we need to get a hold of you for whatever reason, then we've at least got your email. And then we're going to ask you for your character name, not your account name. I have to put this like in bold. So many people accidentally put their account names. We don't want your account names. I want nothing to do with your account names. I never want there to be a question that people in G3 are asking people for their account names and trying to scam people that way. We want nothing to do with your account name. You should put on your registration a character name, and the reason why is that's who we're going to message back in-game when we are actually inviting you to hide out or making a trade. So always, always, always include your character name, not your account name in information like this. Also, I would also just give you a heads up. Some people try to scam for phishing scams and stuff. So if you've got a junk email inbox, I would even say use that as your email address. Don't use your, business LinkedIn 420 blaze it email address. use your spam email address, just so that way there's a way that we can get a hold of you And preferably that this is not an email address that's linked with any of your accounts for anything, because again, we live in a world where people try to scam people all the time. So just be as safe as you can be here on the internet. Okay, so we also ask for your Discord handle on the G3 Discord's server, and the reason why we do that is because the vast majority of trades that go through are verified via Discord. So you will message a guild bank officer and say, hey, I want to make a deposit. Let's make a deposit of 10 chaos, let's say. And so you message me. Let's say I'm the guild bank officer online at that point. You say, hey, Iron, I want to make a deposit. I'm going to say, great, send me a Discord. You're then going to send me a Discord. This is one way that we can always go back and track, because while there is text chat saved in, your local system folder on PoE, while that is technically saved, that's a big hassle to go back through and look for to see who exactly invited who and what name they were and what date it was that they dropped their particular deposit and the amount of their particular deposit. All of that stuff is just a hassle to go through. So what we do is we initiate the trade typically in-game, or you can initiate it through Discord, but we're always going to make people go back through Discord because Discord saves chat history. And so I've got a long-running chat history with a bunch of different members from the Legion League. I want to say it was like over 100 different players made deposits during the Legion League. And so I had over 100 different PMs that were saved with people, and that allowed us to track specifically who was making what deposits at what time, and therefore when we pay them back out, we do the same thing. When there's a withdrawal from the bank, we as the bankers are going to send them a message confirming the amount of currency that they got in game, just so that way there's a record, again, so that way everybody is happy with their record keeping. So we want people to be on Discord so that way we can do that. Also, we want people to be on Discord so that way when we ping everyone with announcements about the guild hedge fund, like it's closing, or hey, you need to pick up your last amounts of currency, or hey, we just made a mirror and we want to celebrate with everyone, right? Like that, there's lots of different things and good reasons for why we want people on the Discord, so that way they're actually active and can participate in the guild hedge fund, and if changes get made, then they can be notified of that. So that's one of the reasons why we require them to be on Discord in order to participate in our guild hedge fund. We also have on here, are you a member of the G3 guild? Because sometimes there's space to join the G3 guild, and so if people want to join it, we'd like to know that they'd want to join it, and this is one of the faster and easier ways to get to know that. Also, if someone is a guild member and they're already registering, then we're just going to give them priority trades, like just straight up. If we've got 10 people that are waiting for a trade and one of them is a guildie, it's going to be faster to interact with the guildie, and we want to give that person priority because they're in the guild. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Also, we asked the question, what league did you start playing PoE? Because it's really fun to go back and track like when people started playing PoE, whether or not they're a new player and they're joining our hedge fund, or whether or not they're a returning veteran, maybe they've taken a break for a while, or maybe they've been consistently playing since beta. It's always fun to see the varying levels of experience that we have inside the guild, and it's wonderful to cultivate that in guild as well. Just because we've got a lot of different players who are new and a lot of different players who are veteran, and so a lot of different people can be helping one another out. All right, we also gather data just on what class people are planning on League starting with, which is always really fun to go back and check and say, oh, there were like 40% of responses that were planning on starting, I don't know, let's say Scion, right? Okay, 40% said they were going to start Scion, but there's no Scions on our guild chat list right now. So everybody said they were planning on starting Scion, so something happened with patch notes that came out that changed that. Anyway, good to know. Also, we asked for time zones. The reason why we asked for time zones is because G3 is a global community. Some of you are watching from Europe. Some of you are watching from South America. Some of you are watching from Africa, from Oceania. Some of you are watching from Japan. Some of you are watching from Korea, from Russia, from North America, right? So we've got lots of different time zones that we've got to coordinate. So guild officers aren't always on at the same time that guild members are on, or that hedge fund participant depositors are on. So we need to know what time zones people are on. So that way, specifically, if somebody wants to make a deposit and it's the middle of the night when somebody else is asleep or all guild officers are asleep, we need to be accommodating for that. And so I typically like to take a look at time zones, and then if I see that somebody's got a massive differential in their time zones, I'll let them know that there will be windows, there will be overlapping windows if they want to make a deposit or a withdrawal that I'll be available, or other guild officers will be available who have a shared similar-ish time zone. Okay, then we've got a bunch of like disclaimer stuff, and the reason why we have this disclaimer stuff is we want people to understand as they sign up and register for the hedge fund exactly what it is that they're signing up for. Now, we've also got an FAQ over here on our Metamorph League document. We'll go through some of these here really quick just for the benefit of new players, but for right now, this is what people have to register for. So first off, the first question is, G3 guild officers typically care for and manage guild funds until profit margins are hit to return a profit to contributing players. Are you comfortable with other players making trades with your contributed currency and items? This is some pretty standard stuff. This isn't going to hold up in a court of law. Like, this isn't for the purposes of a legally binding contract in Ray class. Rather, this is just to let people know as you're registering, hey, we're going to be trading with your currency that you deposit into the bank. Are you good with that? Secondly, G3 guild officers play at different points and different times during a league. Do you understand and acknowledge that items or currency may not be returned with a profit if they are requested within a 24 to 48 hour period? This oftentimes will happen. A newer player will come in, let's say like on day 2 of the league, and they'll give us like a chaos, right? And I'm saying specifically a new player just because this can be a new player mistake. It's made out of ignorance, not out of nefarious intent. So they come in, they make a deposit of a chaos, and they say, hey, Iron, they say like an hour later, they're like, I need to purchase an upgrade. Can I get that chaos back? You can, but you're not going to probably get any returns with it. You're probably just going to get the flat amount of currency that you deposited, because we're actually using currency in order to make currency. So hopefully that's something that people can understand, and so we want people to acknowledge that as they're registering. And then thirdly, the guild officers that will be tracking currency contribution deposits and withdrawals will be my 2 accounts, so my standalone account and my Steam account, and then other guild officers. The reason why we don't list all of those other guild officers is because sometimes some guild officers say they want to participate, and sometimes they don't. So I don't like to put anybody else's names on there and then hold them accountable for something they didn't sign up for. But generally speaking, guild officers in the G3 guild are required to accept deposits from guild members. And if you've got questions about how you become a guild officer, you can feel free to hit me up on Discord with those questions. But generally, you've got to be inside the G3 guild and active for at least 2 leagues is what we've got it set at right now. And the reason for that is just because we don't want anybody new to pop in and start scamming people and taking their currency. So we want people who have been around for a while before we start asking them to help out with processes like this. So, do you give permission for these accounts to make trades on your behalf using currency you've deposited for the express purpose of generating currency profits for the guild and for yourself? So the difference between this one, the first question, and the next question is just because, hey, guild bankers are going to make profits as well. So typically we try to split those profits 50-50. So let's say you contributed 10 chaos to the guild goes out, flips it, turns it into 20 chaos. So we're going to return back 15 chaos to you, and then the guild bank is going to keep 5 chaos to itself, right? That's splitting it 50-50. So then that way the guild has now a cushion with that 5 chaos to then either pay out more people or to go back in and reinvest that 5 chaos into more and more markets. So that's kind of the theory there of why the bank keeps some currency, so that way it can keep moving along and keep building up more profits. And then, of course, all of these bankers are doing this, literally pro bono. Like, nobody's getting paid to do this. I guess the bank gets paid like in-game currency, but nobody's getting paid. This isn't anybody's job, I should say that. There's no Twitch streaming, there's no donations, there's no, additional funds that are made for people who sign up to be bankers. Like, banking is simply a labor of love because people love to trade and see imaginary currency numbers go up. That's why traders like to trade. We like to see digital numbers, that have an imaginary value go up. And so for us, it's a labor of love, and it's fun to do, but we've got to make a small amount of profit because that's all time that we're spending making profit for other players. And so when we actually go to make our characters, we'd like to have some currency to do that. So we generally split those profits up among the bankers once we zero out the bank. Okay, G3 guild profits vary greatly depending on the time of league and time of day. Do you understand and accept that a guild bank cannot promise any specific amount of currency returned above 10% from your initial deposit without calculating inflation? The reason why we've got this one in here is because some people don't understand the concept of inflation and think that for some reason their currency ought to be returned accounting for inflation. We simply don't do that. If you drop in 10 chaos on day 1 of the league, you cannot expect us to give you back 100 chaos on day 2 of the league, right? It doesn't work that way. Even if the evaluation is, well, exalted orbs were 40 chaos on day 1 and now they're 400 chaos on day 2, therefore the appreciation rate should be the same. That's just one currency, and we're not going to track all of the various inflation rates of currency. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to do that. It's not fun for me, and so I'm not going to do it. Again, this isn't anybody's job. We're just having fun making trades here. So what we do guarantee is 10% return. So if you deposit 10 chaos, then you're going to get 11 back. That's guaranteed, right? Because we know how to do that. We know how to make at least one chaos with 10 chaos invested. And most often we're getting more than that back, and so people are quite happy with their returns. But I just don't want anybody to ever think, oh, I was guaranteed and promised X amount, and you weren't able to deliver. There's so many different circumstances that pop up. We've had people in the past who have literally tried to scam the bank and say that they've deposited more than what they did, and we've been able to go back through, again, through Discord and through our tracking sheets, and even through the guild deposit side of things with the guild stash in game and say, nope, you actually put in 10 chaos, you didn't put in 150, and we can track that via the guild stash and see exactly, just to make sure that everybody's held accountable and everybody's on the up and up. Then lastly, we say if you've got any questions, jokes, memes, comments, or feedback, you can do so below. So that's our registration page. That kicks out. We get responses to that on our Good Guy Gaming 3 email. So that way we know that everybody's registered, and that's registration. That's why we do it. That's how we do it. Now, the FAQ, there's lots of various questions that get asked. I'm just going to hit on some of these. First off, these are 4 mirrors. At one point in time during the Legion League, we were holding 4 mirrors, which was really, really cool. That was back, again, over the late spring, early summer of 2019 when we last did a big softcore hedge fund like this. And that was quite fun. It was quite fun for everybody to be a part of that, and for people in guild chat to be hyped up and to see as we acquired more and more mirrors, and then as we sold them off and paid people back out their profits. It was really, really cool just to see everybody participate and to see the highlights of that. So the first question that we get, will the bankers be willing to do sales on behalf of and keeping a portion of the profits of players? And so we say yes, any deposits that will go through a G3 guild officer are tracked in our spreadsheet and then returned back to you with a portion of the profit. Again, some of the profit generally is kept by the bankers. Sometimes we're just not able to make any profit off of it in the time that was turned around. So let's say, for instance, it's 10 chaos that you deposited and it's been 1 hour and you need that 10 chaos back out in order to, make an upgrade on your character. Okay, great, we can do that, but there's not going to be any guarantee that there's a profit there, just because of the time that it takes to flip. So question, what return can I expect on deposits I make to the G3 bank? So we've already been over this example, but generally it's 10 to 20%. Do I have to contribute to the guild bank if I'm a guild member or Patreon supporter? The answer is hell no. This is purely on a volunteer and fun basis. So if you'd rather trade or flip your own currency, go for it. In fact, that's part of what this video is about, is to show you all the ins and outs of how we do things. So that way, if you want to go out with your guildies and with your friends and run your own hedge fund, you can do that. And you've already got some tools at your disposal, or at least some templates that you can mess with and customize yourself. So how can I participate? We just went through that. You can register. What currencies and items will the G3 bank accept as deposits? So this is kind of a controversial one. Sometimes we've done ancient orbs and divine orbs and a wide variety of decently priced stuff. Orbs of oh goodness, not augmentation. What am I thinking of? Anyway, it'll come to me. We've generally done stuff that's like worth 10C or more throughout the league. And accepted that in the past, but this particular bank run, we are only going to accept chaos or exalted currencies. That's it. And no divination cards are going to be acceptable for deposits, and no items. We don't want your items. It is so frustrating, mind-blowingly frustrating to be in the midst of doing a bunch of different trades on one screen, and then you've got somebody on Discord who shows you a pair of boots that have got 24 life, 30 fire resistance, and 6 intelligence. And they're like, "Hey, Iron, can we sell these? Can I put these as a deposit into the guild bank and you can flip them for me?" No. You may sell those because they won't sell. So you may put them up and sell them for yourself. There have been some very, very rare cases where we have accepted high-end rare items for sale. So that's why we say, hey, it's just chaos and exalted stuff. So don't send me those boots and say, well, these boots are evaluated on the trade macro as being 2x. No. We're not going to take it. We're not going to. You go flip it for 2x, and then you can donate. Not donate. You can deposit the 2x to the bank, and then the bank will flip the 2x and turn it into 2.2x and return that to you. How does that sound? So that's the way how we're running things for Metamorph. We're just taking chaos at 10 chaos or more and exalt values of at least 1x. So who is in charge if I have a question or a problem? Of course, that's me. You can contact me. All my contact info is always at the bottom of every single video, but you can always send me an email to goodguygaming3@gmail.com. If I die, then I'm sorry, your currency and items are stuck on my account, and maybe my kids can recover it for you someday. So let's hope that I don't die this league. Can I choose how much currency and what type I want in return? This was another FAQ. So some people have deposited Exalted and they've wanted Chaos back, or some people have deposited Divines and wanted Exalts back. To a certain extent, okay? So if you give 10 Chaos and you're asking for an Exalt back, that's obviously ridiculous, right? Because returns are typically between 10 to 50%, but we only guarantee 10 to 20%, we're not going to try to return to you a currency that is a different value than what you put in, unless it's a part of the natural profit margin that you ought to be getting. So let's say that you trade in or deposit 2x. Well, in order to get 20% of 2x back, we can't give you like a third x, right? That would be a massive increase of the percentage, and it would be great. Maybe we will just give you a whole x back because trading went really, really well with your 2x that you put into the bank. But the vast majority of people who put in 2x are going to get 2x and then a bunch of chaos back, simply because that's the smaller, more acceptable denomination of breaking up Exalteds in Path of Exile. So that's the general rule there. Okay, since I don't know what my character name will be, because we're prior to league start, and you might not have that character name reserved yet, is there a way to fill out the form without having that be a problem? Or does a character name of another character I have in standard fit as well? Yes, use any character name, not an account name, on the form that's fillable, so that way we can always track you. And standard account or standard character names work as well. So you could use a character who's alive in standard, but you never plan on playing. That's okay. Because when somebody sends a PM to that character, it'll actually redirect to your account, but you don't have to put your account name into the registration file. Again, don't give us your registration name. Okay, how long do you guys do the hedge fund for? So we do it for as long as players want to use the bank. Some leagues, it's been Fat Rat and Bat Guy and Fair Mortis and we've traded the entire league as 4 guild officers. Other leagues, people will burn out 2 weeks in and simply be bored with the league. So it depends on life schedules and who wants to contribute to the league and who wants to be a part of trading. So I personally will be banking for the vast majority of the league, and generally up to and through the last 2 weeks of the league is when I'm generally around and trading. So that's generally the time frame or the timeline that you're looking for. Okay, so that's our FAQ. So here is what the actual sheet does and what it looks like. So we have a total sheet that gets kicked out from all of the information from deposits and withdrawals. So I've just got some tests here that show you this all kicks out here to our main bank page. So when somebody comes in to make a deposit, let's say this is a YouTube test, right? And the YouTube testers wants to make, let's say, 10 Chaos and 10 Exalted worth of deposit, right? And it's on today's date, so 12/5 of 19, right? So G3 Iron logs it, and there's no items, and so there we go. That's the deposit, 10 Chaos and 10X. Well, when we look over here at the Guild Bank, we now see that the bank balance, what the bank actually has for floating currency and for flipping currency for making trades, is 10 Chaos and 10 Exalted. Let's say it's been 3 days now and the YouTube tester wants to withdraw their currency. And so we say, okay, well, YouTube tester comes in and we say they want to make their withdrawal. So they deposited 10 Chaos and 10X, which means that we need to give them, what, 10.2 back? So we're going to give them, what's 10.2 Chaos? I don't even know. We'll probably round that up, right? We'll just say, hey, we'll give you 15 Chaos back. There you go. Hope you're happy with that. And then, what is that, 10.2 Exalted? So 12 Exalted. So we're going to give them 12 Exalted back. And we're going to say that this was over the course of 3 days that we gave it back to them, right? And once all that is done, we've got all that tracked. Anybody can go in and take a look. Hey, this is what you deposited. This is what you withdrew. And now here in the Guild Bank, we actually see that we made a profit. Whenever you see any negative signs here on this front page of our particular document, these numbers in negative actually indicate the amount of profit over what was put into the bank. So that is quite exciting to see, just the various numbers that we've got. Anything that's negative here, you can see these negative numbers are payout totals that we have made over and above what has been put into the bank. So we always keep those deposit totals over here on the left-hand side of our bank balance sheet, and then our withdrawal totals over here on the right-hand side, and they get totaled out here. And then every single day we'll do like a total evaluation of, hey, what exactly was the chaos market doing that day? what was inflation like, what's the chaos to X, evaluation ratio, so that way we know exactly how much chaos to pay out per exalted that somebody's due. Anyway, all of that is built into the sheet. So, all that being said, we then finish up the sheet by having a write-up and notes. This is again something that I go into, I want to say, like, where is it, 3850 here in the big discussion, where I go through all the notes and say, hey, these are all the exact trades that we did. There's a spot for that to say, depending on the day, detailing the trades that were making you the most profit as a banker, so that way you can go back in and evaluate in the future, hey, should I keep doing that flip that was really, really good on day one of whatever league it was that you did this on. You essentially have a built-in trade history that tells you what was profitable and what wasn't profitable for you to invest in, that gives you a blueprint for your guide moving forward for how you want to trade and what sort of markets you want to target for new leagues. All right, so that's everything so far for the Guild Bank. If you've got questions, you can feel free to leave us a comment down below. I love doing all this stuff. I love running community events like this. I really am just like a community event designer. That's one of the things that I love doing. Love hanging out with people, getting to know new people, and trading is one of the ways to do that, believe it or not, despite all of the, angry baby fists and Arthur memes that are out there about trade and Path of Exile. I really, really enjoy trade and Path of Exile. I love doing things like this, where community members get together and work towards goals. We had, I want to say that we had 2 mirrors within like the first 10 days of Legion. And that was something that, as a guild of mostly, vast majoritively casual or new players, that was something that for most new players was not attainable. And so it's really, really cool to see players' excitement at the currency that they deposit into the bank, and then with the currency that they're able to withdraw back out, and the profits that they're able to hit, and the new items that they're able to get. A lot of the times what people will do is they'll message a guild officer and say, hey, can I get a withdrawal? That guild officer then will forward it along to me, just because generally I'm the one holding most of the currency, and then I'll get that either to the guild officer or to the player directly. And it's really, really fun to see. Players will link back what they purchase with the stuff that they get. And so that's really, really cool for players to be like, hey, I needed an upgrade in order to go kill this boss. Or, hey, I needed an upgrade in order to progress my Atlas. Or, hey, I really needed that currency in order to go purchase this required unique for a new build that I'm starting. So it's really, really fun to see how players get to grow their own abilities and really reach for the skies with their builds. We've had some players who are new who have dropped in like a few chaos here or there, and so they only get a few chaos back. But for some of those players, that's like the only chaos they've ever seen, and that's the most amount of currency that they've ever had. So it's just really, really exciting to be a part of that. Anyway, hopefully this video inspires you to run your own guild hedge fund, or participate in ours, or share it with others who might be interested in running their own sort of guild bank. Maybe you've got tips or ideas yourself, and we'll, of course, be happy to include those in our own approach to guild hedge funds. You can drop me a comment down below. I'm sure I've made mistakes throughout this video, but feel free to drop a comment down below with your own thoughts, your own suggestions, your own feedback, and your own memes. And I hope that Metamorph League is a league when a Mirror of Calandra drops for you. Thanks for watching that video. If you'd like more information on any of our discussion points today, you can see them down below in the video description. If you'd also like to join our Discord or support our Patreon, you can do so with the links down below. Thanks again, and big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters.